Hello.
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Azure Bateman, and welcome to another episode of Millennials on the Move. Tonight, I am interviewing the one and only Maura Chanz.
Hey guys.
First off, you are so bomb.
Thank you so much.
And went through your website and was like,
Thank you.
wow, oh wow. So, and I understood the opening quote that you had up there.
That's the only way to explain it. I do a lot of things. I really try to, like, people ask, how do you define yourself? And I'm like, I really just do a lot of things. Like,
So,
that's all.
okay, so you had a very interesting start. You started in entertainment very early, like 13 on
Yes.
Disney. So how did that even come about?
So I've known I wanted to be in entertainment since I was 5. Um, I was very I was very adamant in pursuing a career. What's up? What's up? I was very adamant in pursuing a career in entertainment. It didn't really get moving until like 12. I was either 10 or, let's see, Kiki was 11, so I was 10. I met Kiki Palmer when I was 10. We share a mutual mentor. And shout out to Asha Kamali. And I told my parents, I was like, okay, cool, this is what I want to do. And I think, as most parents, they're like, oh, go for your dreams, etc. But I've always been a different kind of driven. So like I had like figured out, okay, this is where I need to get training. I need to get headshots. Like I was on it. And so I ended up going to a acting camp, probably I think at 12 at UCLA. And then nothing really came of that. It was just like some really cool preliminary training. And then the next year, I went to another camp. I was 13. I think I was like a freshman in high school because I'm early in school. I was 13 and finished the first 6 weeks of the camp. And at the end of the 6 weeks of camp, you did a showcase for agents. And the lady who was running was a manager, and she was managing Allie and AJ and Ryan Kress on Nickelodeon. She just had a ton of Disney and Nick clients. And so I ended up doing the showcase. I ended up signing on to an agent then. And then she asked my parents, like, hey, can she do the second camp? And my parents were like, no, it's $3,000. Like, no, she can't do the second camp. And she ended up actually like working with them that I could do the camp for a much lower rate. And then because I was offered a contract to sign with these agencies, it was also, I needed to be in LA. I was in the camp in LA, but I was still living in Chicago, and we're right outside. And so she talked with my parents and was like, I think she has a lot of potential. I think she can go very far, and asked if I could move in with her. She had a couple other clients that were like that. And so the older Jewish woman, Donna Jean Goheen, and opened up her home. Was like, if she trains, homeschools, I homeschooled at the time, as did all of most of her other clients. And can pay rent. She can do this. So that was really my entry into the entertainment business. I didn't do Disney. Actually, no, I did a Disney commercial, I think, that year. And then I did Disney Channel, I want to say 15 and 16,
Mhm.
Ant Farm, and then also Phineas and Ferb game show that comes with the film, and did a ton of commercials. You can't hear me. Ooh, can you hear me? You can't hear me either? Okay, let me grab headphones if that might be more helpful. Hold on. Pausing. Um, let's see.
She went to go get headphones, Lex.
Okay, people tease me about how broke I am because I still have cords. That is true, but it also is because I will lose AirPods. So I went to an acting camp. I ended up getting signed to an agent and ended up staying out here. It's funny because I had told everyone before I went to the camp, like, I'm not coming back. Like, not. I'm not. My parents were like, stop telling people that. Like, you're coming home. I was like, I'm not coming back, guys. Like, I'm going to LA to act, and
I knew it was.
yeah, and it's crazy because I haven't lived at home in 11 years, so I really I moved out, and so yeah, that was my entry into the entertainment business. Started off doing commercials that way, and I did that. My parents had a deal when I went that if I was not reoccurring on a TV show by the time I went to college, I had to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And senior year rolls around. I'm not applying to nowhere. I'm not anything. I'm like, oh, cool, bet. I'm still good. I got time. And literally, I was up for 2 pilots. And if anyone knows how the entertainment industry runs, it's not predictable. And the pilots flopped. And I went to college. Well, my parents forced me to go to college. I even tried not to get in. Like, I was like, nope, I'm going to stay here. And yeah, I ended up at Spelman College.
So before then,
Mm-hmm.
all right, so you said you moved out, right?
Yeah.
Balance, essentially being like a practicing young adult, and then
Yeah.
into like that pretty much by the time you went to college, you were kind of living a life that we had already, or we were getting accustomed to.
Right. It's interesting because college was super. I'm not gonna say college was super easy. I'm not gonna say it was like super easy, but I've been very independent for a very long time. And so a lot of people went to college and it was a new form of independence. And for me, it really wasn't. And it's interesting because it speaks to, I ended up actually switching majors. I think my second semester sophomore year, I added a minor, and then I also graduated in 3.5 years. And like, I worked all through school too. Like, I could balance a lot more than most people could. One, because I was homeschooled, so I had a different level of self-discipline that most people just did not have. And then also, I was dying to get back to work. Like, I love the entertainment industry, have loved it for so long, and I was ready to return. And so the balance, yeah, I mean, it was like I was balancing wanting to, I didn't get to do it full time, but wanting to have a career. And also my parents being like, you gonna get this degree. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see how quickly I can get it. And that's what I did.
So how'd you end up at Spelman specific? Because I know
Oh,
you didn't want to go. You didn't want to
yeah,
go.
no, I didn't. I didn't want to go. I should go outside of my room, but I like being in my room. So I ended up at Spelman. I didn't even want to go. I have 2 sisters, and my parents wanted all 3 of us to go to Spelman. That was like a dream of theirs. And I was adamant about not wanting to go. I toured it when I was like a freshman. I think I toured it, and I just didn't like it. Like, I was like, it's quiet. Like, I went during like a regular tour, and now that I know, like, when you, especially going to such a small HBCU, like, everyone's in class at the same time. Like, we don't really have like evening classes. So when people are touring in the middle of the day, like, you're not going to see anybody. It's like a destitute campus to most people if you're not in a classroom. And so I went to Spelman. I toured that year. And then my parents are both HBCU alum. My mom went to Southern and my dad went to Clark. And so they were like, we're going to pay for an HBCU unless you have a full ride. And so I applied to USC, UCLA, NYU, Hampton, Howard, Spelman, and Cal State Northridge, which my mom was just like, you're not going there. Nothing's wrong with the school. She was just like, no, no, you can do more than that. I'm like, okay. So I ended up getting in, I think everywhere. I think I got waitlisted at USC. And then when you get accepted to Spelman, you go to what's called like the new student orientation or whatever, like acceptance students weekend. I kid you not. I'm a real honest person. So I was talking, we were in this like a celebratory type of space in what's known as Sisters Chapel. And this girl was like twerking. And I was talking to her, and then she was talking about like, I think she was studying like biology and had like a 3.9. And I literally called my mom. I was like, this is the type of woman I'm trying to be. Like, this is the kind of balance I need. I was like, she was twerking on the pew, and then she got a 3.9, and she's a bio major. And literally, I kid you not, like, I didn't even like go look at any other schools I got accepted in. I called my parents that weekend and was like, send all y'all money to Spelman because this is what we doing. And I also had an opportunity. My cousin was a sophomore in Morehouse at the time. So I stayed like a week. And so I had a ball. And I hate to say like that's really why I chose Spelman, but I saw women that really exemplified the kind of woman that I wanted to be. Just well balanced. And that's really how I ended up at Spelman, because I just had such a good time that weekend.
I had to ask because myself, I'm a Bennett alum. So we always get the question of what made you go to a school with all women?
Oh, that part, it's funny because like, I guess I know with Bennett, you guys are close to A&T. We right next to Morehouse. I took class in Morehouse. It's a 2-minute walk. I'd be like, like I was just like, what do you? When people say that, I don't know. It's really fun. Like I love going to a women's college. I wouldn't change it for the world. My little sister was Agnes Scott, and then I think she's about to transfer to Spelman actually. But it was even how people like the comfortability, but also women actually perform higher in women environments. That if you look back at a lot of data, especially in like elementary school and things like that, typically a lot of women underperform in the presence of men or boys at that age. And so I didn't even think about like the fact that it wasn't, I didn't think about not going to school with men because they were literally like a foot across, and they were on campus all the time. Yes, it's work-life balance. That's exactly why I chose Spelman. I've been the same. So yeah, that's why I chose it, and it was the best decision of my life. I'm sure you can probably say the same thing about Bennett as well. It's just a ball.
Bigger Black woman's face.
Yes, like it is literally like I'm like, wow, I wish going to an all-women's college, specifically in HBCU. I mean, there is only 2 HBCU all-women's colleges, but like it is, I understand what I'm saying. It is like literally like a laboratory, like a conference of Black girl magic, like all the time. And it's always a fashion show, which I was not the person for, but it was just like so motivating and inspiring. Like when we had the alum come and just homecoming, it had just every piece. As far as my major, I went in as an English major. I ended up changing to comparative women's studies my second semester sophomore year. But because I had all these, I'd already taken classes. Like I came in like taking 400 level English courses. I was really on some other shit. And so I ended up deciding to get a English minor. But I pretty much had all but like a couple classes to get a major. So, so comparative women's studies with a concentration in digital media and marketing / film, which was actually, I created on my own. The women's studies department at Spelman allows you to create your own discipline, and you actually sit there and create your own course. Like, what is that called? Not like your course load, but like your own, not a curriculum. Yeah, it is a curriculum. I chose my classes based on my interests, and then I had to defend like what courses I took. So I took rhetoric to advertising at Morehouse, and I took film and cinematography at Clark. And then I think you have to take the majority of your course load at Spelman, but you can split it off around the rest of the AUC for like your discipline. So yeah, that's my major.
So you had a pretty exciting undergrad. What were some of your highlights professionally?
Oh my goodness. My highlights in undergrad professionally or since I had postgrad? Because I stayed in the industry in college.
So I would say during while you were school, and then like kind of like that transition afterward, like what would happen if
Okay. Yeah, so I knew I wanted to stay in entertainment when I went to Spelman. That was like a hands down thing. So I literally explored every possible avenue to do such. Spelman is really not known for entertainment, so it was a lot of self work. I knew we had some alums, so I would reach out to them. I ended up volunteering. They needed volunteers for this thing called there's Black Film Network, Black Women's Film Network, which I am a member of, but it was actually a festival called the Bronze Lens Festival, and they asked for volunteers, and so I volunteered in like the PR department, and then like the next day they had me like on the carpet, and I was running the volunteers. Like I became like the volunteer like leader, and actually literally until I moved back to LA in 2017, I did Bronze Lens from like 2013 till I left, and so from Bronze Lens, that a lady saw me and just kind of hustling and was like, oh, who's this young girl? I think I was like I just turned maybe 18. She's like, who's this young girl, you know, just out here? And so she hired me to like do an act, like it was a movie premiere for an independent film. And she was supposed to be like the event coordinator and hired me to do this film. So I was doing it, had literally like reaching out to like my homies on campus, like, hey, I need volunteers. Can y'all work the door? Can y'all do the check-in? People ain't even in entertainment. Like I'm just getting everyone in campus involved. So did that. I later found out that the guy whose film it was Akon's DJ. And so Akon sees me and like, yo, Lil Mama like hustle, like who is she? And put me in contact with his sister, which turned into an internship with Con Live. So that was a huge career highlight there. And then also when I was in school, somebody who had known me from acting had hit me up because BET was doing a digital series called What's at Stake. And What's at Stake was an online series that really talked about just social justice issues. It was like, I want to say it was around the time with Trayvon, and they had asked, could we do a roundtable? So they asked me to pull students that I thought could speak up. But we were talking about gun violence and just really everything that still is happening, honestly, in the political landscape. And so that happened. And then after we did the roundtable, they brought me to New York and made me an ambassador for BET, What's at Stake. And then I went back to school and they actually let me produce 2 pieces. So that was like my entry into producing. And it's crazy because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was a trained actress and I knew I could organize. And I knew I could organize. And so literally, shout out to Stacey Muhammad and Janice and Dana and Jasam Buckner, literally who saw my potential before I did. Like they really are why I've actually moved into producing. And so that was, I guess, the highlight. To transition out of school, that was interesting. I had my junior year, kind of my senior year, because I finished that like my junior senior year, kind of, because I only did 3.5. And so my last year at Spelman, I interned at BET in their 360 marketing and advertising department, and under the tutelage of Michelle James and Talisha Price. And it's interesting, at the end of the internship, they were like, you did great. Like, you're great, you're creative, but like, we really don't think that this is your side. We really see you as talent. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to go back to LA and like start over. As an actor, like, it's really the most important thing is what you last had on your resume. And at that time, I had been removed from the acting world for a minute, and I was like, I don't want to start anew. And I also had some personal insecurities about like my body, and like when I was finishing up around my acting career, they had told me, I won't say names, but a producer had told me like, your face is 13, but that ass ain't. And I was playing young in the face, but like my body was not allowing me to play that young anymore. So I was kind of hesitant to get back into acting, but my team at BET actually gave me a beautiful mirror, and it was talking about just like, they're like, you're really a star. Like, you're not, this isn't what you're supposed to do. And so I finished Spelman and I didn't know what to do next. I knew I didn't want to go to grad school. I was reluctant to move back to LA. And I just didn't know what to do. And so I was like, okay, I've been doing graphic work. I've been a graphic designer for like 13 years, just kind of starting on like Facebook and stuff. And it just turned into like people hiring me. So I was like, okay, mom and dad, I'm not going to get a job and I'm not going to go to school. My parents were like, oh, okay, well, you're cut off. Very cute. So they cut me off like the day I graduated, and I took all my graduation money and actually started a creative agency, Glitter and Hustle. And we produced content for people in and around Atlanta. I did visual identities. I got to produce for the Steve Harvey's family, and just tons of, I had just really remarkable clients. And somebody from Bossip saw some of my work or saw me out and asked me during this time, hey, would you be interested in getting back on camera and like doing like a daily series? And I'm like, okay, cool. It was like 1 hour a day. It was like $100 for that 1 hour. I was like, yes, cool. For like a 5-minute little piece. It wasn't even an hour, kid you not. It was like I would go to work for like 20 minutes, and like I'm like, oh, cool, making $500 a week. This is a move. And so I ended up with Bossip in 2015. I started doing digital daily series, in 2016, that became, they got picked up and they wrote a pilot that got picked up by WeTV, which became Bossa Bon We. That was all through 2016. We filmed it and it kind of slowed down like my daily work. 2017, they called and we had gotten greenlit for a series and we were going to go to season. So all during this time, I'm still hustling graphics. I'm still doing what I'm doing to make money. I'm producing when I can. Like, I just took every opportunity to just explore my creativity. I just knew for sure I wasn't going to get a job. And I did for one point, because I have to always let people know, like, it wasn't always just like this just happened. I did get a job at the Marriott. It lasted 2 weeks because I was like, yo, I ain't cut out for this shit. So like that wasn't it for me. And then I did get a really, really amazing, like close to 6-figure offer with a hair company doing their graphics. Turned that down too. I was slightly wilding and I don't regret it, but monetarily I still kind of I regret it. I wish I had a nest. So did Bossa. 2017, we started filming and we're marketing, I get invited to Essence Festival. And I got invited by AT&T. I knew somebody who was at AT&T and they needed an influencer, and she knew I had the show coming up. So she's like, hey, it's not a lot of money, but like it's enough. And my family's from Louisiana. So I was like, oh, bet I don't need a place to stay. I can stay with my aunt. But yeah, I'll come. Like, I was like, yeah, I'll come out there. So I went and I served as like a blogger, essentially. I literally made one blog post. Like, they paid for me to just go to Essence and write a blog post about my experience. That one thing changed the course of my career, and I'll tell you guys why. So from there, I was out there and I met 2 people who have literally like sent me on a different path than I didn't even know or could even imagine. One was Yara Shahidi and her mother Carrie, and I had been clearly a fan of Yara. I've been looking at her work and and I had an all-access pass because I was there as a blogger with AT&T. So I talked to her mom. I didn't even talk to Yara anything. I talked to her mom, and we didn't get each other's contact. I was just like, like, wow, telling her about my career and like knowing I wanted to get back into acting at some point. I had kind of studied English, so I knew I wanted to still write. I knew I was interested in producing at this point. That was that. And then I ran into Maura Chanz in walking around, and I will provide some type of context. This was not our first time meeting. She came to Spelman, and when anyone came to Spelman, I had this thing that I would do where I don't give a damn about a picture. Never have. I've just never been that person to just want to be around people. So I was like, yo, I love what she does. Like, I was just like, hey, I would love to like work with you in some capacity. Like, I'll come to set, like I'll work for free. I worked for free a lot. Like, if I just wanted to be in a room, I would be like, cool, I'll do it for free. So Maura gave me her email. We never spoke. That was like she gave me her email in like 2015. I was back on campus after I graduated for homecoming. And, this was it was my last semester. So I was still there. And ran into her, didn't think she remembered me. But she was like, yeah, you walked me out. She came up to me. She was like, Maura? And I was like, yeah. And I was like taken aback that she remembered. She's like, I don't really know any other Mauras. And and so she's like, what are you doing right now? I know what you told me you wanted to do. And I told her what I was doing. And I was like, I'm working on Bossa. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy to hear you're back in entertainment. I know that was your thing. Side note, sidebar for people who are still in college. Like, the way I kind of finessed getting around anyone I wanted to meet was I knew everybody had to leave. Always, they have to leave. So me hopping my ass in the front of a line made no sense. I would wait till the very last person went and say, hey, I know you're running out, but do you mind if I walk you to your car? I did this with Nicole Ari Parker. I did this with Tracy Edmonds. I did this with Maura Chanz. I did this with literally executives. Everybody I had met from Spelman that has really changed the trajectory of my life, I did that with. And that's literally how I built the connections that I had. Like, it was just like, let me walk you to your car. Hey, do you mind if I stay in contact? What is the best way? And they would give me their information. I would follow up. So I followed up with Maura, but she didn't respond. Neither here nor there. So she sees me, asks me what I'm doing. I was doing Bossa at the time. And I told her this. And she's like, oh, dang. Well, I'm looking for an apprentice. I want to raise the next Maura Chanz. And she's like, and you'd be perfect. She's like, do you know anybody do you know anybody who is interested, who would be good for this job? And I, I literally, because I had to tell her I had a contract. I had a TV contract that I could not get out of. And I'm like, yeah, let me think about it. Like, I have some mentees, and she's like, they got to be, if they have background experience. And I was like, well, it's not many people going to have industry experience fresh out of college, but okay, I'll see who I know. And I went back to Atlanta. I was in New Orleans. I went back to Atlanta. My old professor hit me up. And I actually only took his class one time, but he's literally one of my favorite people. I met him my freshman year, and he's literally one of my closest friends. His name is Keith Bolden. And Keith has been a champion for my career. So he hit me. He was like, yo, what's up? And he's like, I got this job that you got to apply for. And I was like, I'm in a show. Can't really apply. He's like, no, I know what you're saying, but you need to apply. And he sends me the email. I was like, yo. I actually kind of got offered this job on the spot, and I kind of turned it down because I can't do it. And he's like, nah, you need to apply. And I talked to one of my mentors, and they were like, apply, figure it out later. So my Bossa contract, we did our first season. It shot from June to August. I saw Maura at the end of June, and she was looking for somebody to start pretty much immediately. And so I applied, but I knew like, oh, I can't get out of my contract. God would have it that my interview process was from June to September 1st. She hired me on September 1st. I had literally just gotten out of my contract by like maybe a week. Now, she offered me the job, and I always tell the full part of the story because I want people to know just the truth of everything. So I had made pretty decent money doing Bossa. But I had some student loans. I had a car my parents had gifted me a really great luxury vehicle that being I was cut off, I couldn't afford. So it was broke. I had to get it fixed. I had to sell it. I had to buy a new car. I paid up some rent. I spent, I'll just say, pretty high 5 figures in like the week leading up to getting that job. And I had no money, none. I had no more money. And because I just didn't think it was coming through, like I had spent the money and I was like, okay, I'll be good next season. But I knew I didn't really want to be on Bossa. It was an amazing stepping stone for me, but I did not want to do celebrity gossip and celebrity news. And it's actually like a key between our cast. Like everyone always said, Mara's going to be the first one to leave the show. They were like, Maura ain't doing this for long. And so I got the job. And at the time, I was talking to my boyfriend, and I was like, my then boyfriend, and I was like, yo, I'm going to turn it down because I can't move. Like, I don't know. I was like, I have an apartment that I just renewed my lease on. I literally cannot move across the country again. And my parents separated the day I graduated Spelman. I was like, they can't really help me. My dad is retired. I have a little sister in college. Like, I don't really have nobody to help. He's like, you should make a GoFundMe. And I was like, no, I shouldn't. That's not what I'm going to do. One, I'm very prideful. I'm prideful. I figure stuff out, but I knew I could not come up with money quick enough to move. And so he was like, no, you should. So he helps me write like the whole thing. And this was right around the time of like the Houston hurricanes. And I was like, Austin, we can't do this. It is people who really need money. And how crazy am I going to look to be asking people to help me to move across the country? And so I did the GoFundMe, and he told me to post it. And I made sure to post it like in an hour that I didn't think people were going to see it. So I had people post it I posted it like 10 o'clock at night, Eastern time. Maybe even it was later than that. It was like 1 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm like, okay, people in the West Coast are asleep now. No one's going to see it. I woke up to $1,000. And I was like, okay. And it was like one of my closest friends, one of my closest friends' moms, actually all of my best friends' parents, and all my best friends. All of my best friends' parents contributed generously to me moving. And I think within like 4 days, I raised like $4,500, and I had enough that I needed to move. And I did. And so that really, I packed up and I moved back to LA September 2017. And that was right when Maura they had just closed the deal for Love Is. So I literally jumped right in. And that's really how I became a showrunner's assistant. And I was also Maura's apprentice. So yeah, that is my transition from like my highlights of college to how I got out of school.
All right. So, okay, actress, writer, entrepreneur. How do you
Yeah.
balance? Yeah, how do you balance all of them?
I don't. I don't. I wish I could say I balanced them. Hello, Ming. That's my little sister. We're talking about my career. Um, how do I balance everything?
Everything.
I don't. I haven't figured it out yet. Balls drop. The way I balance right now, I'm gonna actually lay very oddly because I'm in my bed. Um, so I balance by prioritizing what pays my bills. That's how I balance, really.
That's a good.
It no, literally, like that's number one. And then I balance what can likely be the next thing. So I right now I to pay my bills. I am producing. I work with a lady named Ty Beauchamp, and I who's actually one of my mentors. Who I did the same thing. There's actually a story about our mentorship, our mentor mentee relationship on my page. But I literally I left Akil in April of last year. Um, I will be very transparent with everyone. I'm a phenomenal creative, and Mara will tell people the same thing. I was a phenomenal creative, but I'm not really the best assistant because I'm such a creative, and I'm also such a boss. Like I'm such an entrepreneur that it wasn't it for me in that role. Great opportunity, people, the cast was amazing. The show, the entire experience was incredible, but it was just not the correct experience for me. So when I left Akil in April, Ty hit me up, was like, "Hey, do you want to come on and just like be like a producing partner with me and create?" And I was like, "Yeah, bet to pay my bills." Like she had ideas, I know how to produce. So, so that kind of pays my bills. And then I mentioned meeting Yara and Carrie Shahidi. So how they come back into the story, I left Akil in April of 2018, and I went to a Black concert, and I ran into them, and I didn't again think they knew who I was or remembered who I was. I knew we'd met, but like, and they followed me online, but like I just didn't think that they knew anything. So Carrie comes up to me and was like, "Hey, you ain't gonna say nothing?" And I was like, "Oh, I just didn't think you guys knew who I was." And so we talked. I told her I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to pay my bills, but I was writing and producing. And she's like, "Okay, come on." We talked, we met, and then I came on also as a strategist for her family. And so those pay my bills. That's like my go-to. That is my priority. And then it is a matter of what I have time for. Right now, I'm developing a show, and I have a really great executive producer. So that's my baby, my focus. When I do get a moment or I'm inspired, I write if I can. Um, I do a lot more development than writing. Yes, I'm a creative strategist. So I help everything like coming up with ideas for campaigns. Say if there's a brand that I think that aligns with, and I do this not only for Yara and Ty, but for other people as well. But like if I think there are things that align with what you're doing, or I'll come up with creative concepts. I create strategy to help people make money is what I do. And I do that creatively. So that can look like content. It also ties into producing for me. So a lot of the content I'll come up with will be producing. So for example, I'm trying to use something that I can talk about that's not confidential. I have a client who wanted to do a partnership with a men's body brand. And they told me this. And so I mapped out a social media campaign that we pitched to that brand. I wrote the copy, which is the text that would be used in Instagram posts. I pulled the imagery that was like our mood board, the influence. So I create ideas. Not only create ideas, I problem solve and correct problems in a creative manner. So that's kind of that's what I get paid to do. And that's not my work. That's, projects for other people. my face is not on them. Sometimes I'm on the credit, sometimes I'm not, but I'm compensated, so I don't really give a damn if I'm on anything, because I need to pay my bills. Only thing my name is on is them bills. And so yeah, so I do that, and then the time I have to myself, I'm like, okay, you gotta schedule it. So now I'm scheduling time. Like now I'm putting it on my schedule. Saturdays, I'm like, okay, cool. You gotta write for 4 hours. So that's kind of it. It's pay my bills first and then schedule whatever else I want to do. But things drop the ball. Like I'm young. I'm, like I want to have a good time. I'm dating. Like I try to have a very balanced life. So I just try not to be too hard on myself in my chase or my goal of doing it all.
What's your favorite part of every single day?
My favorite part of every single day, no, it's the morning. My favorite part of every single day is the morning. If I do my days correctly, and what I mean by that is like get up when my alarm goes off, not like ignore. If I do my days actually correctly, I start every day the same. I added one thing this year, so I'm going to mention it first. Shout out to my little sister. I got a 5-minute journal. So I start my day with 3 apps: the Bible, starting your day right, and and Our Daily Bread. And I do that as soon as I wake up, and then I journal. I was already journaling before I got the 5-minute journal, but the 5-minute journal really kind of helps me structure my thoughts, and it makes me immediately go into gratitude mode. And I will answer that momentarily. So yeah, so that's how I start my day, and that is literally the best part. And it is the days I don't get to do it, I feel it, and I'm all messed up when I don't get to start my day right. To the question, did you find it challenging to pack in your price your creative projects? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Still yes. Still struggle with that. I honestly started going on to like finding people that I knew who did what I did, and I would like Glassdoor them. I would pretend to be a client and get their rates, and then I would decide like if I felt my work was of equal value or like maybe I wasn't as experienced, I'd come down. I'm at a place now that like after I've done so many things, even like hosting, I still host, and I kind of would ask mentors like, what are they making? And I'm like, okay, well, she's been doing this for 14 years, so I'm about to make 15 grand for 8 hours. Okay, so like let me backtrack this based on my amount of time. So I would make my rates based on what I saw online and what I would ask people, but it was a struggle. And then when I first started, people would be like, you're charging too much. And I'm like, but you kind of came to me because you know my shit's the shit. Like if you wanted to pay less, go elsewhere. And and I still have to have those conversations. I'm like, people are like, well, this is more than I anticipated. And I'm like, and I understand because I'm a struggling artist myself, so I get it. But I'm also like, well, you should find somebody who can do it within your rate. And sometimes people are very honest with me, and they're people who I've negotiated or I've bartered. But I'm always struggling with rates. It's something I literally just the more experience and asking so many people. I would ask my mentors because they host, and I was like, I remember I hosted for AT&T this past year, and will not talk about how much I was making, but I didn't know that I could include like my transportation in my ask. I didn't think about like my wardrobe. So like I paid for wardrobe, I paid for transportation. And I was talking to my mentor, and she was like, you don't do that. She was like, when you tell me your rates, you say you need a car service, you need this. So like boom, that was that. And then it was crazy. I have a homegirl, Crystal, and Crystal hosts as well, and she randomly asked me about my rates. I still need to bring it back, but I was doing a thing called Mondays with Maura, where I would answer questions. She hit me up and asked me how much I charge, and it turned out that what I was making in a day, what I was charging for an hour, she was making in a day. And she was like, you're charging this much per hour? I'm so grossly underpaying myself. My rate was 300% more higher than hers was. And that immediately, because she asked me the next job she went out for, she calls it her Mara number. She asked for what I asked for, and that's what she got. And so it changes every day. Like my rates be going up like every few months. So, I be telling people, get it while it's cheap. Well, cheaper, because next time you ask, it probably won't be that same rate. I think my rates have increased My graphic
Promo.
rates have increased my graphic rates have increased like 5% in the past year. My hosting rates have increased about five times what I was making in a year. What is this question? We were literally learning about our oh yeah. Oh wow. So yeah, it's always a difficulty, but ask as many people as you know in your field, and also like Glassdoor that shit. Like I'd be looking like, how much is making this? And every time I see a budget, like if I'm working on a project, if you are working in entertainment or you're working on anything and you do have access to see budgets, like study every email that comes through. So even when I was like working with a kid, like I clearly, because everybody was we were in meetings, we were in different things, like I just started taking note of like, oh, this house this much. We're paying these people this much. And in many ways, I was paid to learn on their expense. Like every job I had, I've always looked at it like that. I'm learning on your dime and I'm learning on your time.
Mm.
I might mess up, but I'm learning on your dime and your time. So yeah, it's a never ending battle about how much, and I always think I'm worth more after I do one more job. Like my rates go literally up after I host one thing. Like I do one job, my rates ain't no longer the same because I'm a little bit better. So
Price go up.
all
Okay,
the
so
time.
what are what's it called? You know, again, going back to your website, you also are like an advocate. What are some of the things that you advocate for?
So yeah, so I am a comparative women's studies major, so I have a degree in comparative women's studies, so it kind of goes without saying that I'm a feminist. I really fight for equality in the workplace, specifically equality throughout. It's an egalitarian society. In addition to that, I am also queer, so LGBTQ rights, LGBTQIA, to be frank. Those are majority. And to be honest, if you are fighting for queer Black women, I kind of am advocating for we handle if we would be taken care of, then everybody taken care of. Everybody kind of falls because Black women are the most marginalized group in society, and then to add on the layer of queerness as well. I'm kind of touching everything, but equality in the workforce, so economic empowerment, access to resources, combating I literally want to say everything, but like if I see a problem out there, it's something that I'm probably going to address. When I was at Spelman, I was a co-founder of a homeless outreach initiative, which is still up and running. It's something I'm very proud of and a huge part of my legacy. So homelessness, sexual trafficking, which was really huge in Atlanta, is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So eradicating human sex trafficking, arranged marriages, everything. I'm really a humanitarian. Like I just want the world to be a better place. And so if I can figure out a way to do that, sometimes it looks like I worked on the Stacey Abrams campaign and I couldn't give money. So I did graphic work, and she fights for so many. And yes, you do know. Yeah, my sister does know prison reform as well. Like literally everything. And so however I could get my hands in it, I do a lot of like in-kind work. And in-kind means like say somebody is running a campaign and I cannot donate money, I give either my time, but usually I give my graphic services. So that's one way. And then I have an organization that it's not on pause. It is on pause, but it's not gone. It's just that I haven't had the time. But I have an organization called Tribe, and our focus is on reigniting the spirit of tribal community amongst women of color. And we really focus on professional and personal development. So we have done everything from yoga and holistic wellness practices to networking events and teaching women how to network properly. I get so many resumes and I'm critiquing. I job placement. I just got so much great news in the past few weeks about like 3 women who kind of just through our network were able to get employment. So yeah, I'm just trying to make the world a better place. It's as many causes. It's like if I see any marginalized group and it's something I can do, I'm probably gonna do it. diversity in TV and film, just everything.
That was a great transition because that's what I was going to ask you about next was
But
Tribe.
Tribe,
Yeah,
my
but
baby. Tribe is
on it
my baby.
looks amazing. It looks so dope. I was reading through the stories and like, yo, it was. I can see
Thank
the vision
you.
that you offer. I get it.
Yeah, if
And so
everyone
as
checks out, it's youneedtribe.com. It's amazing work on there by amazing writers. And we will be back soon.
as a person that does like, wow, yeah, is
It's a
there.
lot of work.
Okay, so I know we talked about your life
I'm losing
professionally.
you. Okay,
How do you
I
take
got
time?
you back.
Balancing everything professionally. How do you take time out for self care and like
Intentional self-care for me. Okay, I'm going to keep it 100. Don't have a therapist, need one. That's going to be something intentional this year. Um, Journaling, like writing for me is self-care. And like, again, making sure I'm waking up and doing that, like, is very helpful for me. And it's something that like, I know that if like my spirit is not okay, I'm not okay. Feeding that in many, many ways. I really make it intentional. Like I try to go on like a date a week. I walk. I advocate for therapy. I just am not insured at the moment, but that comes back in February. So that's why I don't go to therapy. Again, I tell like everybody everything. Like I'm a very transparent person. But I recently started walking like 3 to 4 times a week. I try to do 10 to 15 miles. That's very intentional. Anyone who knows me has always known me. I like my haven is a nail shop. I will get my nails, and I don't even, it's funny because they don't even actually like, I don't even wear polish anymore. I'm like, polish comes off and I stop wearing gel and acrylic, but I like get my nails done all the time, like a basic manicure, and my feet stay done. Like that is so important to me. For me, when I look good, I feel good. So like my esthetician, I get a facial once a month. I get my eyebrows, I get my mustache threaded, I get my eyebrows threaded frequently. I won't say how often, so y'all don't have to know how hairy I am, but I do those things pretty frequently. And that helps me feel good, which in turn helps me look good. I mean, helps me look good, which then helps me feel good, which really just powers this machine.
So, what advice do you have for students or for post grad? So, like myself, I graduated in May. What advice do you have for people like me that are trying to figure it out in that first year after?
Yo, the advice I have truly, and shout out to a really good friend of mine who really helped me with this, Kofi Sirbo, who I'm sure everyone knows, but Kofi talked to me and he was like, it's okay not to know. And that that is the advice. It's okay to be confused and to not know. Even the idea that we send people to school and like at 18, like you're supposed to know what you want to do to choose a major is flawed. I mean, I have a lot of my own personal gripes about the education system, but I think one, exp- explore explore what makes you curious. Um, Run towards what makes you happy, and everything else, and work really, really hard. I think everything I've done, I look at it and I couldn't have mapped it out. I couldn't have planned it. I couldn't have anything, but I always was moving towards what I just liked and loved. And when I would get in a room, I would work really, really hard. So that's kind of driven me. And then I think for me, not knowing, as Kofi kind of told me, he was like, not knowing is great because the only thing you can do is turn to God. And so I think it causes you to a lot of self-reflection. So allow yourself time to do that, and be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. Like, you ain't gonna have it figured out by 25. Like, you're not. And if you do, I guarantee you probably gonna change careers. Not that you won't stay the course, but it's just like you're always in progress. And understand that, honor that. There's an amazing book that I recommend everyone read, The Power of Now, which kind of really just changed how I view so many things. But I just focus on the present, as hard as that can be. I focus on the present. And it's a Drake line. The moment you stop having fun with it, be done with it. And not the moment it gets hard, because it's going to get hard. But the moment you stop finding joy in it, be done with it. So I just move towards joy. And that's the best advice I can tell people, is like, okay, you may not know what you want to do, but like, what, when you did it, brought you some kind of joy, brought you some semblance of happiness that you're like, yo, I like this feeling, or I enjoy this, or shit, what's just something that you're like, that just looks cool. I'm curious about it. And then start reaching out to people and let people know, hey, I'm curious about what you do. I am just getting out of school. If y'all still in school, be using that still in school, because that still in school plug, like, I'm fine. I'm trying to figure my life out. People love that. You don't get to say that much out of school. You can say it for like 2 years and then nobody gives a damn. But because you're a whole adult. But so while you're in school and when you first get out, I think just being really honest with people, like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing, but like, this looks really interesting. Hey, can I give my time? And stop. That's another thing. And like, I guess in a piece of advice is, when you're figuring it out, figure out what it is that you have that you can give. And I live by one quote, and one quote only. If you cannot be used, you are useless. People come to me all the time needing things. And a lot of times I'm very open to helping and doing, because that's just who I am. I have not gotten where I've gotten, and it's not even that far. But and when I look around and I'm like looking at my peers, and I very much live my dreams, I make my schedule, I pay all my bills. I don't live at home. I ain't lived at home in a long time. I'm like, you know what? And I got some peace of mind. I be struggling sometimes to pay them bills, but they do get paid. But I think that for me, I was able to do all this is because I always just offered to, like, I wanted to be around and in the mix so much that, like, I was just like, hey, I'll do it for free. Hey, what do you need? Hey, I have graphic services I can do. Or like, if you need, like, just my input on something, I would love to look at this for you. And also, I also would treat people a lot. Like, people ain't gonna ever turn down no free food or no free coffee, no free anything. So I would treat, like, hey, would you mind if I treated you to some coffee? Or if you're able to drink, if you're legally allowed to drink, can I treat you to a drink? And I would just love to learn more about you. And I think the last piece of advice is build genuine relationships, not for any other reason, but that is what makes the world go round. I mean, me just saying tribe, I believe in community. And so it's people, I have well over 3,000 contacts on my phone, many of them who I probably don't necessarily need as far as my career goes. But like, I talk to the homeless people. There's a lot of homeless people at my Starbucks, and we're cool. And I talked to the baristas. One of them I found out worked at Essence. And then I was like, oh, girl, you do videography? Like, I build relationships because I love people. And I would tell people to fall in love with life and people, and the rest of it will work itself out.
All right, so the final question.
Yeah.
What for Maura?
What'd you say?
What what's next for Maura?
Whew, okay. I'm gonna just speak it into existence because that's who I am.
Go ahead.
This year, no, this year I'll be selling a show. My first show, it is already moving. Development is moving, and that is my one focus this year. I would love to eventually be a showrunner. I know how the network and studios work, that's not going to be something that's happening out of the gate. It's not something happening in my first year, but I'm selling a project this year. I have a lot of things I'm producing this year for clients, some things for myself. You'll see the return to Tribe in some capacity. We did have our first LA event not too long ago. So you'll see that. You'll definitely see an announcement that I sold a show. Yeah, that's it right now in Tribe. So those are the things that's what this year's about. Oh, and what's next? I'm returning to commercial acting. You in April have a very, 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 very big commercial coming out that I'm the principal actress in. So that was a beautiful return to acting. I couldn't have asked for a better. Literally, the commercial was written for me, pretty much. They actually found me on Instagram and didn't know I act.
Wow.
Yeah, God, I hate
Oh
I
my
hate to
goodness.
be like this. No, seriously, because the people ask me about my life and ask me about my story, and I really don't. I love saying it because it's a testimony. I hate saying it because it seems like I can't really help nobody. God has just had immense favor over my life. And so, if they ask me how I did it, that's it. I shouldn't have quoted R. Kelly. Okay.
Mm.
But
Hey, look, 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 look. Turn down our Kelly.
yes, we're turning down. But I mean, that's just a line. I think he did sing it, but I feel like other people say, if anyone asks me how I've been able to do everything, I just tell people it is my relationship with God and keeping God at the core and center of my life. And my life has had immense favor because of it. Immense, immense, immense favor. So yeah, that's really that's what's next. But to be honest, I don't know what's next. Every year, God does immensely more than I could ask or imagine. I kid you not. I did not. It's so many things I just didn't plan on. Oh, I didn't plan on being a showrunner's assistant. I didn't. I just followed my love of entertainment and saw where it's taken me, and I'm just gonna let it keep taking me.
Follow the passion and paycheck will follow.
Yeah, no, literally. I mean, there's a saying. It's another one. I do live by a few things, but it is. Ooh, finance your, what is it? Finance your romance until your romance can finance you. You invest in your passion, and eventually your passion will pay you. If you truly invest in it and are disciplined in it will pay you. So that is yeah, that's who I am, how I've done what I've done, and I don't know where I'm headed next. We all gonna find out together, but I know it got God all over it.
Well, are you on Twitter? Tell
I'm
people to follow
everywhere.
you.
Yeah, I'll put my social. Please do follow me. To be honest, I'm gonna be really, really honest with everybody here. It's really been messing in my bag that I don't have 10,000 followers on everything. I'm so close, and no brands would be like, yeah, we would love to have you if you have 10,000 followers, and it really be messing up my money. So feel free to follow me on everything. Maura Chanz across everywhere. Everywhere. My website, I don't know how to take my keyboard. How do I get it? There it is. Yes, my website is maurachanz.com. That can direct you to Tribe. My Instagram is Maura Chanz. My Twitter is Maura Chanz, because continuity is important, and I want y'all to always be able to find me.
That part. Well, thank you all. Thank y'all in for this episode of Millennial on the Move. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Please, I don't know, do these save? I don't really know how these things work. Is
Yeah.
this yeah, please send it to me. I would love it.
Got
See you guys. God bless you all on your journey.
you too.
Bye. Oh, it's awkward.